These aren't leaks, as Ebony pointed out, and this is public information. He is touching on a larger issue in the White House that I'm sure anybody that was involved in would find frustrating.
Right. Well, leaks have been a normal part of politics and their relationship with the press for as long as the press and politics have been around. So this is nothing new. What's interesting and unique about this administration, though, is there's two big incentives for leaks. One of which, actually, Sarah Huckabee Sanders talked about today in the press briefing, and that was that the president likes to foster this healthy competition. I mean, we saw it in The Apprentice. That's kind of been his management style. So when you have that, you've got people then within the administration who are going to jockey, who are going to use the information that they're privileged to have, leak it to the media in order to make other people look bad or in order to give their position more credence with the public and the press. That's one big incentive for leaks. And the other is the fact that you've got, you know, these two individuals, Reince and Scaramucci, in the White House, and you've got this major fight going on, right? And whatever they can do to try to divulge and then influence the president, because he pays so much attention to the media, that incentivizes leaks as well.
Joe, what do you think about the fight between Priebus and Scaramucci?
I think Scaramucci needs to work on his analogies. When he said we fight like brothers and gave the example of Cain and Abel.
Right.
You know, I'm sure Serena and Venus don't get along every now and then, but they're not killing each other in the metaphor he's using. It's like when people want to be romantic and say, we're like a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. Oh, the teenagers who killed themselves.
Right. I've always had that thought as
He needs to work on that, and the fact that he said that, you know, I like that he's going to go after the leaks, but I'm not sure if they call it the optics, I'm not sure if it's coming off as well. It's sounding a little bit like the House of the Borgias here, where in some ways the search for the leaks, it's a lot like Trump's hair, that even if it's real, it still looks bad.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Ooh. What does that mean?
What I'm saying is that it makes it look like they're not working on the business of governing the country, that they're setting each other up.
Searching out the leaks kind of looks like Trump's hair. Even if it's real, it looks bad. Searching out leaks looks bad? No,
the way they're doing it, they're making it look like...
Scaramucci is putting his foot down. He's saying the leaks are stopping or you're getting fired. And that goes all the way to the top. By the way, Reince, heads up, you're not above this search either.
I just don't agree with the way they make it sound like. You mentioned healthy competition. Well, when sharks are being born and eating each other in the womb, that's healthy competition too, but I'm not sure it's great for the other sharks.
Well, here's what I think maybe Joe is talking about, and I do think you are correct in this, and this is that they're having a lot of transparency issues right now. Obviously, they're under investigation. The White House has to shore up a lot of political capital, even within his own party right now, because of the policy, because of health care, because of the Russia investigation. So anything that's like, we're going to crack down all these leaks, even though it's a good thing, it can look like they're continuing to hide behind, you know, this veil of they don't want to be transparent, they don't want to let people in, they want to, you know, make sure that they're protecting themselves against any kind of deeper look. I think that's why it looks bad.
But I think the thing is, Kristen, I've said on this show and said many times, at some point it's not satisfying to keep blaming Obama holdovers or what have you. At some point, President Trump is the commander-in-chief. It's his White House. So you got to, you know, totally gut shop. And if that means Priebus? That means Priebus, quite frankly. And I don't really care if it looks bad, Joe. I mean, at this point, I think that's why Scaramucci is being brought in at this point in the game, to say, you know what? Whoever you are, there's no protection around it. If you are the source of the leak, I don't care if you're a senior advisor, you're getting fired.
Let's be honest. Hold on. Let's be honest. Reince Priebus ran the RNC. Sean Spicer was his number 2, his comms director at the RNC. At one point during the campaign, when there were still 17 people running, including Jeb Bush, Kasich, and Marco Rubio, Reince and the RNC suggested that Donald Trump backed out of the race.
Yeah, well,
now he's chief of staff.
But he wasn't a piece of furniture that he inherited.
That was his choice. So if he didn't want him and he thought that he wasn't going to have his loyalty, then he shouldn't have appointed him.
I thought this was always going to be a problem. I will say that, and I do think at some point the president is responsible for the people he brought in, because there was always these two very competing. That's about healthy competition, and then there's what unhealthy
Kushner
competition.
wing and the Bannon wing, right?
Yes. And it all now, I think, Eric, is conflicting and undermining one another. I don't blame President Trump for bringing Scaramucci in, but I mean,
when you're a non-politician who's won the presidency, it's never happened like this before. You go to D.C. and you have to bring in thousands of...
No, you have to bring in thousands, but do you have to bring in establishment people? That, to me, surprised me when I saw him bring in Reince and Spicer.
Donald Trump went to the White House and said, oh, by the way, my chief of staff is going to be Ivanka Trump. You guys are lost your mind.
Well, no, that's totally different. There's a gray area between the establishment and Ivanka Trump. There's a gray area.
Listen, look, we're 6 months in. So you go through iterations. Sometimes things don't work out in 6 months and you replace. That's what Donald Trump is doing. He's finding out what works and what doesn't work. And frankly, Sean Spicer didn't work. I'm not sure if Reince Priebus works. Maybe he doesn't work either.
Maybe he doesn't work.
Yeah, but he'll find out, and he'll make the right changes.
You know.